So welcome, Fernando and Paloma, and welcome to everybody who's going to be seeing it later on YouTube or by in the recording. My name is Jim Crawley, and I am the Director of Global Recruitment at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. What I thought I would do is show you a 2-minute video called Hope Transforms, which was one of our themes. Is we say we're able to transform students and transform their lives into being an even better person than when they arrived, through all the activities and the academics and everything they do at Hope. So let me show you. It's only about 2 minutes long. We'll do this, and then I'll go into a PowerPoint where we'll tell you some more specific information.
There are over 5,000 colleges and universities in the United States alone, and nearly every single one of them is named after a location or a historical figure. But along the shores of Lake Michigan, there is a school whose namesake is not a founder, not a historical figure, not a state, city, or physical landmark. It is named after an ideal, a virtue, a way of life. Its name is hope. It's so easy to get lost in what this world lacks, to become discouraged by its needs, gaps, and flaws. And we see beyond the uncertainty and brokenness. Hope College, we do. Not by ignoring the world as it is, but by learning and living with the belief that this is not the world as it should be, by driving to understand, to unlock clarity, to amplify dream, by leading with inspired compassion, by embodying a vision that illuminates greater opportunity for all, by serving with anchored conviction, using our collective gifts to offer this world what it needs most. Hope. Not simply hope as a desire, hope as a way of being. Because hope has changed the way we see the world. Hope drives us to change the way the world is. Because hope shapes our calling. Because hope inspires our dreams. Because hope empowers our talents. Because hope frees us to try. Because hope transforms what we believe, transforms how we act, transforms who we are. At Hope College, we know this life-altering grace is a gift we have all been given, and it is the greatest gift we can offer the world. Hope transforms.
All right. Well, I just wanted to share that with you because I think that's a pretty cool video, I think. What we want to do now is kind of go into a PowerPoint where we can talk more about some of the details of Hope College. And give me a second to pull this up. There we go. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about admissions and scholarship at Hope College. So first of all, let's look at why students study in the U.S. And I think everybody has a different reason, maybe multiple reasons why you're thinking about the possibility of studying in the U.S. But one obvious one is experiencing a new culture. There's a lot of differences between studying and living in the U.S. than really living in any other country. Excuse me, and especially as you get onto campus and you are going to be living there and with new students, new friends you've never had before, and you can be studying a new academic area or one you've dreamed of studying. You're going to be working potentially on campus and maybe doing fine arts, maybe doing athletics, so many things that create this whole experience that you're going to have at the college level. In the process of doing all that, you're also preparing yourself for graduate school or a career. So your parents hope it's one of those two, like you're going to go to grad school or you're going to get a job. That's what mom and dad want you to be able to do. And that's what we hope that we're going to prepare you to be able to do as well. So I think one of the ways that we do that is allowing you, especially in the first year or two, to explore the academic strengths and interests that you have to be able to pinpoint what it is exactly that you want to study. So that's the third thing that's at the bottom of the page. And I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but Michigan is up in the is up here with a mitten shape, the hand shape. We actually have a northern part as well. So when Michigan people describe Michigan, we basically do this. We do the bottom of the mitten and the top of the mitten. So it's really easy to show, and then we point to where we live in our hand. It's a very easy way to point And we're over here on the west side where my cursor is, right near Lake Michigan. So on the west side of Michigan. We're specifically in Holland. Holland, Michigan is a tourist town. It's an awesome small town to be in. It's a town of 35,000 people. So it's a small town in that regard. We're a campus of 3,200. So we comprise about 10% of the population of the area. It is a tourist town that attracts many people. Right now is the beginning of tourist season. We're only a few miles, I should say, from Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan has the longest stretch of freshwater beach in the world. So it's a beautiful lake. And Holland has been rated one of the happiest cities in America. And I think a lot of that is just the beautiful downtown. It's a safe place to live. People enjoy being there. And we're looking at kind of the downtown area or downtown street. If I were to go out the back door of these businesses, you would see campus. It's literally right behind the main street. So 5 minutes walk and you are on campus or downtown, depending where you're coming from. So it's very close. There's lots of restaurants, lots of coffee shops, shopping downtown, although it tends to be a little more expensive. So we do actually have a shuttle bus that runs you out to like the Walmart and the discount shopping. And we do that a couple of times a week so students can run out and get supplies that they might need, personal supplies or some food for the room or whatever. But we do provide that shuttle bus. So when we think about all these choices, like even in the video, it says there's over 4,000 colleges and universities in the US. There's a lot of options. So how do you figure out from your perspective, what is the best way to decide where you're going to choose if you're going to come to the US? Well, some of the reasons that students choose Hope is it's a very welcoming community. Both the campus itself and the local community are very welcoming, and students feel that when they get on campus. They feel a part of the community and a part of the campus. We also like to talk about amazing opportunities, and we'll touch upon a few of those in our future screens. But I can tell you, for example, US News ranks us number 21 in the nation for undergraduate research opportunities. And they choose the top 64 schools in the country, including Ivy League schools, the elite schools on the East Coast. Everybody, they look at everybody's research opportunities for undergraduate students, and Hope is number 21 in the nation. So that's pretty impressive, but that's just one of those amazing opportunities that we like to talk about at Hope. Caring professors, I think you get that more naturally when you're at a small private school because you have a smaller group of students. So our average class size is 14. Our student teacher ratio is 11-1. So you're going to definitely have the opportunity to really get to know faculty and where that and professors, and where that comes into play in my mind is when they often hear of opportunities out there for internships or jobs after you graduate, and they get to know their students so they know kind of what opportunities to pass on to you that they would say, well, hey, this is something that you really should look at because it's right up your alley. It's what you have strengths in, and that's what the faculty really want to be able to do is make sure they connect you with these opportunities. Individual attention kind of goes along hand in hand with that, and we talked about that 11-1 faculty to student ratio. And we also really, our offices on campus really stress that individualized attention as well. We want you to have the best experience that you can. That looks different for every student, but we want to try to help you figure out what it is you're looking for in your Hope experience and try to help you get that. So Hope is a Christian college. Now, please keep in mind that means, I want to say sort of means different things depending on the school you're looking at. So there's some Christian colleges who are very more fundamentalist or more like a Bible college where there's a lot of rules and regulations and you have to sign a statement of faith and things like that. We don't have that. We do offer chapel 3 times a week, but it's totally optional. Now, in saying that, 1,000 people go to chapel, so it's a very popular thing to do, but it is totally optional. The same thing with church on Sundays, or we have Catholic Mass as well. Those are optional. So if students want to go, great. We do have a very vibrant spiritual life here, but it's totally up to you as to what you make of that. Like, what does that mean to you? So I think that's really important to note. So when we talk about the welcoming community, and there's a couple of websites, or the Holland websites at the bottom, in addition to the college website. But as I mentioned, about 34,000 people. We are right behind or right next to the 4-block downtown area. And I did mention that weekly shuttle that runs from the campus to a little bit further away, the discount shopping and grocery area, because we want you to be able to, keep supplies in your room, whatever you might need, your personal, your shampoo and your soap and things like that. And many of the American students do have cars, so it's very frequent that students will catch a ride with somebody too if they don't want to take the weekly shuttle. But that's certainly available too if you want. Now, we are in Holland, close to the lakeshore, close to Lake Michigan, which, when you think lake, when people think lakes, they normally think a lake where you can see the other side, like it's a regular lake. The Great Lakes around Michigan are huge, like they look like oceans. You cannot see the other side of a Great Lake, most traditionally. But we're next to the Great Lakes. About 45 minutes inland is the city of Grand Rapids. That's the second largest city in Michigan. So some students will go in there. There's a 5-acre 2-story mall. There's concerts and semi-pro sporting events in Grand Rapids. I actually live more toward Grand Rapids, and I come into campus during the week. But students will go there for different events as well. So it's a little bit bigger community for some other events. So I talked about the caring professors, and I think that close collaboration is really important. I mean, the fact that you're really going to be working closely with faculty is something that you're not going to get at every school. It is more common at small schools than large. I think it's important to note that middle bit of information there in the middle of the page is that we're funded by more than $2 million in active grants right now. So we're doing a ton of research, and that's probably why we have that high ranking. Our students are getting some incredible experiences in the classroom and in the laboratories and even out in the community when you talk about research being done with local businesses. So along the lines of the amazing opportunities is also the strength of the majors. So within our 50+ majors, we're strongest, in my opinion, and the most popular areas are STEM, business, and psychology. Performing arts is also very strong, but is not one of the larger areas. You don't get as many students majoring in performing arts. Now, I know that somebody had posed a question earlier online as to like double majors and minors and things like that. And yes, you can most common for students to have is a major area of study and one minor. So a major and a minor. That's the most common combination. Some people will have double majors. Some people will have a major and 2 minors. It's just up to you. You work with your advisor to figure out what is your end goal, like where are you trying to be at the end of 4 years, and then they help you figure out how to get there by that combination of majors and minors. Another important thing to note is even with that combination of majors and minors, you can still do the other things you enjoy, and we want you to. So let's say that you're really into music or theater or art. We want you to continue to be able to do that, and you can do that even if you're getting a major and a minor, or even major and 2 minors. You can still do it with a double major too. You've just got to plan your time. It's all about planning things out and being prepared to spend the time that you need on each thing. I think for a double major is more challenging if a student is going to be a varsity athlete. Like if you're a very talented athlete and you're going to make one of our varsity teams, then a double major can be a little more challenging because of the time commitment all the way around. But a major minor certainly is possible because most students do that. Almost 90%, the second bullet point, almost 90% of our students do experiential learning. So what does that mean? It basically means they're doing the hands-on stuff that will be great on the resume. And when you think about students going out to get a job, one of the struggles that happens sometimes is, an employer might say, well, you look great on paper, or you look great, but you need to have experience. Well, how do you have experience if you've been in school for 4 years? So we're really stressing and pushing our students to get that experiential learning under their belt, to get things on their resume, so that when they do go to jobs, they are getting jobs ahead of some big school graduates because our students have had more experiences. We just had a story from a student who went to a large research institution for his graduate studies, for his master's degree. And he came back and told us that in the first year in his science classes, he had already worked on some of the equipment that were there. that they're expected to use, whereas some of the other students that he was in that grad school with that were from big schools had never seen that equipment yet. And our students have already done research on it. So I think there are some definite advantages to the experiences that we're giving our students, or we're promoting to them, to try to give them that extra advantage when they're going to go on to get a job or get into graduate school. As you can see about middle of the page, we do hire 250 students every semester, every summer, to do research, paid research on campus. So that's a great opportunity to make some good money in the summer, getting a very valuable experience to put on that resume. And it's research across the curriculum. It's not one particular major. The outstanding research there says there were 23. Actually, that's last year, so we are up to 21 now. And we are in the book called Colleges That Change Lives. And that book only recognizes 45 colleges in the whole country for how they're developing their students and how prepared their students are to go on after college. So we're very proud to be in the Colleges That Change Lives publication as well. It's not something we pay to be in. They actually find those 45 schools and put those in there. So let's talk a little bit about the facilities, just generally. And you're seeing building pictures as we're going through. But we were one of the first private colleges in the U.S., small privates, to be fully accredited in all of the fine arts. So art, music, theater, and dance. We have very nice facilities in all of those. Beautiful, relatively new, actually, for theater, music. And now we're building another. We already have a dance studio. We're building another one. And then within the art department, they have their own art building and an art gallery on top of that. So I think we have a commitment to the fine arts being an integral part of a potential part of an experience at Hope College. We also have the Martha Miller Center for Global Communication International. The International Student Center is there. That's a really beautiful new building as well, where students can go, and they've got a international student lounge there. The international student advisor is there. It's a place where students will go, not only for it being a resource for them, but also a place to kind of get away from everything and hang out in the lounge if they want to. And the lounge is just for the international students to hang out. They could bring U.S. students in there with them, certainly, but it's primarily for them. Within all of this, I should say, within the facilities, we have students that work in most of these facilities. So as an international student, you can work up to 20 hours a week during the class time. So during the time that classes are in session, you can work up to 20 hours a week. During the summer, you can work up to 40 hours a week. So you can work full time. Again, on campus only. After you've been here at least a year, and most traditionally it's after year 2 or year 3, you can do an internship. And internships are traditionally done off campus because you don't need permission to do something on campus. But when they're done off campus with a local company, it just needs to be related to your major, and then your advisor needs to sign it off as it being a requirement of completion of your major, and which isn't a problem as long as it's related to your major. It's usually not a problem getting approval. Most of those internships are done during the summers, although it is possible to do it part-time while you're in school. You've just got to navigate the kind of the transportation and the timing of it all. Makes it a little more challenging while you're a full-time student as well. So the campus ministries is, as we mentioned earlier, a big part of Hope's campus for those that want to be involved in that. But we do have a new building for that as well, with lots of student space in there, big rocking chairs out on their porch where students hang out and meet. It's a really nice facility. And then the Student and Culture Center, which has the bookstore, the coffee space, lots of event space, lots of stuff happens in the student center. Concerts, dance-a-thons, movies, all kinds of stuff in there. And lots of space to study and relax as well. So it's very much a student center, as you would think it. And that's the student center maybe is more unique to the US, I'm not sure. But it's a place where students really do go. The student life organizations are there. We have over 80 different organizations. So there's a lot going on in that regard too. We have about 3% international right now. That is growing. They hired me 4 years ago. Of course, I started just before the pandemic and had to stop traveling almost immediately. But now that we're back out there, we're hoping to really be able to get the numbers up. We would like to be at 5%, then eventually at 10%. And I think we can do that. I think Hope has a lot going for it, and it's just a matter of getting the word out there more about what Hope is about. We had 2 Paraguayan students start last year, and certainly hope that will. I don't know that we have any for this fall, but we're hoping certainly to come back in 24. So to go on a little bit on the spiritual life, because I talked about it already, but we do have the 3 20-minute student-run chapels, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Again, totally optional, but they are standing room only. Usually 1,000 people go. And we do the student-run non-denominational service on Sunday and Catholic Mass run by a priest who is on our campus. We have a beautiful chapel that you've seen. It's in my background, in my photo as well. And then I mentioned the new ministry center that opened in 2019, and you see a picture of that, kind of the lobby or the welcome area of that ministry center in the bottom photo. So we are NCAA Division III, which means there are 3 divisions in the NCAA, or the main sporting conference in the U.S. Division III are typically small private schools, and they cannot offer scholarship for sport. That doesn't mean that they're not good teams. Our teams are very difficult to make. You have to be a regional level or above athlete to really have a chance of making the team. We've got numerous teams that have gone on to national tournaments. We have, and then individuals on the individual sports like track and field, swimming, things like that, who have also gone on to national competition. Our women's basketball team won the national championship 2 of the last 3 years. And we have a club team in men's ice hockey, which you wouldn't necessarily have an interest in, but they've won also the national club championship 2 of the last 3 years. If a student is of the level, if any of you are at the level where you're competing and winning, at the athletic level, we encourage you to go out to the athletic website, and you can do this for any school. Usually on the athletic website, they'll have a student questionnaire, and you can fill it out, a prospective athlete questionnaire. You can fill it out and submit it, and it will go to that coach. But we do encourage you to have an online profile, an online athletic profile with video clips, because they really do want to be able to see and get some background information on you. Now, if it's a timed sport, so if you are in cross country, even golf with a handicap, swimming and diving, track and field, those are all timed sports. So certainly you can produce results that will allow us to see kind of your talent level based on the times that you've been able to achieve. Now, we do also have the opportunity to be athletically inclined without being on a varsity team. So we have a wellness classes going on all the time in our wellness facility. We have intramural sports that go all throughout the year. This is just a partial list of those that go throughout the year. And then we have really phenomenal facilities for students to use. So there certainly is the varsity gymnasium that you're seeing in the middle photo. That's where varsity basketball and volleyball will compete. But there's also more of a recreational facility where students can just play pickup basketball or volleyball in this recreational facility that's in another building. And there is an indoor track there as well. And we have beautiful tennis courts that you're seeing in the bottom right. I don't know if you can see the actual tennis courts there, but you're seeing the back side of the stands entering the tennis courts. You can see a couple of courts there. Sorry, it was blocked by your pictures. Beautiful. So we have arguably probably some of the best facilities in our conference athletically. So some really good opportunities there. So let's talk about living here. So it's different, obviously, to live on a campus than if you are, commuting, going to your local university, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But just to point out that we are a residential campus. So our students do live on campus. They have to live here for at least 3 of the 4 years. And the 4th year, some will choose to find an off-campus apartment or rent a house with some other friends. But we do tell students that can be challenging because there's only limited houses available for rent, and they tend to be a little more expensive. Again, because we're a tourist town, and people want to live downtown, want to live in the small town right near the downtown area. It can be kind of expensive. So some will find that it's less expensive, more convenient to just live on campus the 4th year as well. But that's totally up to you. Most students, especially in their first couple of years, will be in a traditional style residence hall. So rooms like you see there with a couple of beds, they could be down like these two are in the bottom two photos, or they could actually be bunked, or they could be trundled, where one's going one way and one's going kind of the other way. So they're not totally bunked. And some will build lofts, so they're both up in the air. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do to a room. But you will typically have one roommate, and then the community bathroom is down the hall. It's a bigger bathroom, like, because it's for a group of girls or guys in that hall. We do have, after the first or second year, you do have the option of moving to a suite style that would maybe 2 bedrooms sharing a bathroom, or apartment style, which could be up to 4 bedrooms sharing 1 or 2 bathrooms. And then we also have bought a bunch of the houses right around campus, and we call them cottages, but they are basically small homes. And we're up to, I would say, up to 6 people maybe live in one of the houses, 6 to 8, depending on the number of bedrooms. Excuse me. So that's something you could do certainly in your final year, or even your third year, potentially get into a small housing unit with some friends if you want. So we do have 2 full service cafeterias. We also have a snack bar with a coffee shop. We also, you can use your ID. You'll have money on your ID as well as meals, and you can actually use the money on your ID card at some of the other local coffee shops that are right near campus as well. So some of the businesses participate and allow us to use the ID card there, because you're going to choose a meal plan. And this is any campus in the US. If you're living on campus, you can choose a meal plan. Typically it comes with meals and then an amount of money that we call like munch money or food money that's on your card. And you can use that at the cafeteria. If you run out of meals, you could use it at the snack bar, the coffee shop, those kind of things. So let's talk a little bit about scholarships. So we're going to start with the biggest one first, but it's also the most competitive one. So for fall of 2024, we have the full tuition Hope Forward initiative. So priority consideration will be given to people who are admitted, not just applied, but admitted by November 1. So I encourage you to get your stuff in early October, so I have time to review it and have time to admit you before November 1. You do have to be admitted first before you get a Hope Forward invitation. As part of that application process, it's not just the academic admission, but you also are able to show, or you have to show, that you're able to provide the enough support. Even if you were to get Hope Forward, that's full tuition. The remaining cost of room and board, health insurance, and books is still going to be about $17,000. And we'll talk about the regular scholarship too in a minute. But if you were to Hope Forward, you still have a balance of about 17,000. So you have to be able to show at least that amount, even to be continuing the process, because we're not going to have you go through all the whole process only to find out that you don't have any support at all, and this isn't going to work. So be admitted first, invite sent out. There's a separate application, a separate essay, and then if you move past the essay, then there's an interview with faculty over Zoom. It's actually more of a presentation rather than an interview. You're going to be given a topic well ahead of time, and you're going to have to present on it for about 6 minutes. And I can tell you the past topics, and it may stay the same, I'm not sure, but the past question was, or statement for the presentation was, think of a situation of hopelessness, and how would you bring hope to that situation? And you know, our international students do really well in this competition, because many of them have been, whether it's their own family or just where they live or just people they've known or just the global situation, most of them have seen more things happening in their life than our average US student has seen. So they usually have more things to write about, more things to say, and international students tend to do pretty well in this competition. If you get Hope Forward, it would replace the International Student Scholarship that is something you're automatically considered for if you're admitted, which that one is up to 25,000. So if you were to get 25,000, if you're admitted and get offered 25,000, and then you went through Hope Forward and got it, it would replace the other award, because the full tuition is 40,000, so it replaces the 25. You can't get both. So if you have any U.S. citizens out there, if there's any that see this that are U.S. citizens, there's a whole scheme of scholarships that are possible for U.S. citizens, as well as you can file the FAFSA form, the free application for federal student aid. and that can qualify you potentially for some need-based aid if you're a U.S. citizen. For U.S. citizens, again, the scholarship is based primarily on the GPA. SAT is not required, but a strong SAT could enhance your scholarship amount. Again, for international, it's offered automatically at the point of admission. So we're going to base that on your total application. Again, SAT is not required, and that would be up to 25,000 at the initial award. I'm hoping that might go up a little bit, but right now that's where we're at, is 25,000. And our full cost for 24 is going to be about 57,000. So we're almost at half the total cost in scholarship. So it leaves you a balance of about $32,000 would be the balance right now. I'm hoping we're going to bring that gap down a little bit, maybe be up in the upper 20s, but right now the balance is 32,000. If it's hope forward, it's about 17,000 or 16,000. The other possibility is Distinguished Artist Awards in the fine arts. So if you have a significant talent in music, theater, dance, art, or creative writing, you can certainly apply. Music, theater, dance is by audition. So it's a taped audition that you would send in, or a link to something online. And then art and creative writing are both by portfolio. That award is traditionally $3,000 per year if you qualify. They do choose one just superior student in each category that gets $12,000, but just one in each one. So again, super talented. If you get that top award, I think that's really designed for those that are going to major in it, but you do not have to major in it to get the 3,000. You just have to qualify for it, and then you have to participate. So it might be that if you're in music, it might be that you're in the jazz band or you're in the orchestra. If it's in theater, that means you're involved in the theater productions. Dance, you're taking a dance class, but you're not doing a dance major, that kind of thing. But you can be a major. You just don't have to in order to be considered. Okay. And that deadline is traditionally February 1 for those Distinguished Artist Awards. So they get announced in like November, December, and then the deadline is February 1 for you to have everything in. Again, you have to be admitted first before you're considered for those awards as well. So getting yourself admitted first is really important. So since we're talking about that admissions process, so we do take the Common App, or we take the Hope College application. Within the application, there's a few kind of free-form answers to questions to answer. So kind of like a personal statement. But there's sections for you to answer, why Hope? Why are you choosing the major? What do you know about Hope? Why do you feel this is a good match for you? Tell us about yourself. What I tell students to do with a personal essay, and really I tell it for really any school it works, I think, is to, if they're giving you a specific prompt, specific question, make sure you answer that question. That's what they're asking you to do. If they leave it up to you to write about whatever you want, then I would say spend the time writing about things that are different than what we're already reading in the application, because we're already seeing all this other information. You don't need to tell us all that stuff again in your essay. And usually one page is plenty, unless it's a certain word count or something that the application is telling you to do. School report, if you're doing a Common App, your counselor will have to do a school report. That's part of the Common App. We need an official secondary school transcript. So if it's in English, that's great. If it's not in English, you're going to have to get it translated. If you've done any university classes at all, we need an official university transcript. English proficiency is another requirement that most U.S. schools will have, and that you can see our minimum required scores on the screen. If you're going to an international high school, a high school, secondary school where English is the language of instruction, obviously not for Spanish classes or things like that, but for everything else, if English is the language of instruction, I will traditionally waive the English proficiency requirement. Okay. If you're if your proficiency in English is fairly recent and I'm seeing any ESL classes on your transcript, then I will still require one of the tests. But as long as you've been educated totally in English, it will probably be waived. I can't guarantee that because everybody's situation is a little bit different, but most traditionally it would be waived. The SAT score and the recommendations letters are optional. except for scholarship. Like for the Hope Forward scholarship, they would be requiring, I believe, a recommendation letter. But not for just the regular scholarship. If you have one and you want to include it, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not required. And the reason I think part of me for just admission, I've hardly ever read a recommendation letter that was not glowing, like that it's not totally positive. And so that's the objective for students, is they want to find a recommender who's going to write them a really good recommendation letter. Well, I think we found that for regular admission, the letters all pretty much say what was already in the application. We're not seeing really any new information for the most part, but some schools do still require them. So it's important that you have some recommenders lined up that can help you with a letter if in case it is needed. Please do remember, and it may seem silly to have to remind you of this, but please remember to, if you do address the essay to a certain school, make sure you're changing that name if you're going to use the same essay or the same recommendation letter, sorry, to another school. Could also apply to your essay. Make sure the name is changed if you mention the school anywhere, that you change it, because I get both essays and recommendation letters all the time that are addressed to another school. The last item is the verification of financial support. So as I mentioned, our total cost is, and this is out of date on the bottom, my apologies for that. We're at about $57,000 for 2024. And so after the scholarship of, if you get a maximum of 25, you're going to be at about 32,000 additional in support that you need to show. We do have a verification form that you fill out, and then it has to be submitted with a bank statement from your family or another financial sponsor, whoever's helping you out when supporting your education. And as part of the ultimately, if you've done any of the curriculum that's listed there at the bottom, the IB, A-level, AP, there's some other type of credentials potentially that could be in that are we might give advanced credit for that, but we would need syllabi for those, okay, in order to evaluate that. IB, we have the syllabi, but we don't necessarily have, and AP we do too. A-level, we may not necessarily have that, so you'd have to give us syllabi. The only other kind of fee we have, there's no application fee, but if you ultimately decide to come to Hope, then there's a $300 commitment fee, but that's way later in the process. So there's no cost to apply to find out what we can do for you in terms of whether you're admissible and what we can offer in that partial scholarship. So my information is here, my title, obviously my email, our website, our virtual tour is there. But I do want to make sure that I answer any questions. I'll leave that up for a minute and then I'll stop sharing just in case there's any questions. And my wonderful colleague will let me know too if there's been anything posted on her end. I will go to this. Yes.
I think we have answered most of the questions about majors and minors.
Yeah.
Okay. And explaining the scholarship opportunities, financial aid, the requirements. It's very interesting that you mentioned the bilingual schools situation, because we do have many bilingual schools that have IB diplomas. Mm. We have a couple of schools with A levels and one with AP. So the fact that that will be considered for credit is actually very interesting.
Yep. And that's on our website too. They can go to, I think it's, if you went on the Hope College website and then you look advanced credit, I think is what you want to search under, and it will give the AP, it'll give most of the IB. We still have a few, I think, that we haven't evaluated yet, but I think most of the AP and IB are there. I know for IB it's 5 or higher on an HL. So we currently don't give credit for the SLs. I'm working on that to try to get that changed. But right now, it's just credit for a 5 or higher on the HL. So if a student's done the diploma, they've typically done 3 HLs, so they could come in with, not a full semester of credit, but a bit of credit toward one semester, which could really help in the end. Yeah, so that's a good possibility.
Right. And one question regarding a specific school that have the IB diploma. And one of the higher level exams is English B as a second language. Would that be, well, if it's considered for credit, it's one thing and it's fantastic. Could they be could the English exam, the proficiency exam be waived in that case? If it's a higher level English B?
Yeah, so well, kind of a double
Okay.
question, really.
Yes.
One would be if they've done IB English, I would not be requiring the TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo. Then what I need to double check on though, because I'm not totally positive, is in terms of the
Credit.
the credit for English, like would it give them credit for freshman
Usually
English?
it's a 7 or a 6.
Yeah, it's usually a bit higher.
Mhm.
But I'm actually pulling it up right now just to see what it says out there. But again, you could look under the registrar's office
Sure.
under transfer credit, and we could pull that up. But for IB, I'm showing English 1A with a 5 or better. English
Okay.
A1 or A2 are
Right.
going to get credit for freshman composition. So yeah, so that's good. That's one less mandatory class that they have to take.
Excellent option, and good to
Yeah,
know. Good to know that
and
they can use their IB diploma there. Okay.
sure. Yep. And sometimes we do really encourage students to still take freshman composition, not because we're questioning their English ability, but because we really demand a lot of writing. And so some students find that taking that freshman composition course helps them feel more prepared for the other classes. But certainly if they get credit for it and they don't have to take it, that'd be their option. But there is, we do demand a lot of our students in terms of writing and research. And so, being prepared to do that. Of course, somebody's been through the IB program, has probably done a lot of it anyway. So they're probably feeling pretty comfortable with it. So that's good. That's why we give credit for it, because we know they've done a lot within that program.
And that they're equipped with the skills to be able to tackle that first year.
Right.
Could I share something on the screen? I would like to show. That's okay. I'll just share 1 second. This is our YouTube channel, and I would like to show people that are following us, that are watching this, and that will be watching the recording, that here we have many of the testimonials of former students, and right here we have Matias O'Hara. Matias can tell us about his experience, because he's actually now in Hope College. Okay, and he was awarded the opportunity with Hope Forward as well. He comes from San Ignacio de Loyola school, so it was a bilingual school, and he prepared with us, and he did all his exams preparation with us. So if there's anyone who needs any extra help or guidance with the applications, you can watch this video and we can help them with the application, and then the essays and recommendation letters that they need in order to apply to Hope, which is a fantastic option considering all the opportunities that we know that Paraguayans have.
Yep. Great. Yeah, both students are doing really, really well. Matias, I run into him every once in a while, just walking around campus. And then the other student we have, but yeah, he was
from the American school.
And he was actually helped out this morning. We did a webinar for, we're doing another one in about 10 minutes when I'm done with this call. With incoming, the students are coming in this coming fall and their parents. So we're doing kind of welcome webinars. So Lewis came on this morning and talked from the student perspective. So that was really nice to have him. His mom actually came on too, to talk about, because we do parent orientation. We do international student orientation for 10 days, but we also do a parent orientation at the same time. So parents who are able to come over, they have a couple of nights where that they pay for the hotel when they first arrive, but then we cover 5 nights in the hotel for the parents. And we really acclimate them to the area, do a lot of excursions with them, and do a lot of meetings on campus, so the parents really feel comfortable with what they're leaving their child with us, right? Leaving their young adult who is growing up fast, and will soon be doing a lot of things on their own that they might have not done before. So the parents really do get a lot out of that orientation, and it's been very popular. And for the international students, again, we bring you in about 10 days early. We go to camp for 3 days. We're up in northern Michigan, and we do a lot of team building activities, and We see a lot of the sites up there, which are really cool, the big sand dunes on Lake Michigan, and we go to a resort island just for the day where there's no cars, it's only bikes and horses and just a tourist area. That's kind of fun. So, and we just have a lot of fun for those 3 days. And we come back to campus, see your parents again, and do some meetings with them and some without them to get to know the campus. So that acclimation period is pretty important. And I think students feel better once, 10 days later or 7 days later, when all the other students arrive, they've already kind of settled in and gotten used to everything a little bit. So that's very helpful.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you for answering all the questions that we had beforehand. In case if Martin, Paloma have anything to ask?
They're very quiet. That must mean I
don't have any.
Really good job.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paloma.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you so much. If any case, we're still in touch, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.